Hi, welcome to this information snippet from Solutions in Engineering. Today we're going to talk about asbestos. Asbestos was widely used in Australia. It had some great qualities, which was the reason it was used, and that is that it's fire resistant, it's a great insulator for heat and cold, it doesn't conduct electricity, and it's also very hard wearing. So it was used in everything from toasters through to brake pads. Now, today I want to talk to you about construction and the way that asbestos was used in construction, because it was very widely used. From everything from the glue used in tiles to the backing on linoleum, to sheeting on walls and in ceilings, to ceiling tiles, to all kinds of different things like fire doors and the backing on electrical switchboards. So very widely used until it was discovered to be dangerous, and then they started to ban the use of asbestos. Surprisingly, it wasn't until the 31st of December 2003 before asbestos was fully banned in Australia. And as a result of it, they put out a new standard, a national code on how to deal with asbestos at the beginning of 2012. And in that, they said that every building built up to the 31st of December 2003 needs to get a survey done. That is any building that has a workplace in it. That is a place where workers work in, or places where contractors come into, that is not actually an individual residential home or unit. As soon as you get outside a unit in an apartment complex and you get to the common property, then that becomes a workplace, and you need to make sure that you've covered yourself by having a look at whether there's any asbestos there. So how do you deal with this? Well, the first thing that you need to do is to get an asbestos survey. And an asbestos survey involves going out to the building and having a look at the building and having a look at the structural elements and the finishes in the building and identifying if any of those have asbestos in them. Now, part of this can be done by taking a sample and sending it to a laboratory, but a lot of it comes down to expertise. Because if someone has experience and understanding about asbestos, about when products were made with asbestos and when they were stopped being manufactured and stopped being used in construction, then you can identify the likelihood of asbestos being found in the building and the likelihood of asbestos being found in the materials in that building. So once you've established whether a building has asbestos in it, you've got one of two things that you do. If there's no asbestos in it, then you file that report away, and it means that people can come onto into that workplace and do work without fear of asbestos. If there is asbestos in it, then the next thing that you need to do is create an asbestos register. And what that involves is identifying where it is in the building and having a register that shows where that is. There's also a requirement to actually have signage up around the building to let people know where that asbestos is. And the third thing is that there's an asbestos management plan. And that asbestos management plan is how you deal with the asbestos. And ideally it will have a look at the type of activities that you typically find happen within a building and within a work environment. Things like drilling holes, things like using a high pressure machine to do cleaning, things like sawing, those kinds of activities that may happen to asbestos. And the thing that obviously we're trying to do with asbestos is to stop airborne particles coming from the activity, because it's those airborne particles that are breathed in to the body that causes the issues like mesothelioma, sorry, I have to spit that one out every time, and asbestosis. So we need to make sure that those risks are taken care of, so it's about how that is done. So obviously when you're doing the survey, it has to be done in a certain way to make sure that when the sample's taken it doesn't create a risk. And then of course once we find out whether it has asbestos there, in that asbestos management it needs to tell you how to manage that asbestos, how to deal with some of those activities around there, and how, if you want to remove that asbestos as well. That pretty much covers a brief summary of asbestos and the current legislation. If you want some more information, you can go to our website at www.solutionsinengineering.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us from that site. I'd like to thank you for your time today and hope you enjoyed our information snippet on asbestos.